human, meat, tacos. Separated, they are some of the most amazing things on planet Earth. You take the meat, put it in with some tacos, put in all the ingredients, nice and juicy. Humans are remarkable themselves, and together, when they get to eat those tacos, it makes for the best experience ever. But what happens when all three come together and actually made a human meat taco? Well, you're about to find out. The year is 1982, Mexico City. A woman and her husband are struggling to keep themselves alive, keep themselves with food on the table, pay their electricity bills, and pay their monthly rent for their house. In a last resort, they go ahead and start selling foods off of the streets, such as candies, corn, or they would go so often sometimes selling balloons to the local neighbors just to get kids' smiles on their faces. Sure, those happy kids made them happy for a brief moment, but it wasn't enough to keep them going. So they turned that money they got from the balloons and the corn that they sold, and they invested into buying some meats, such as cow, beef, chicken, liver, cow tongue, lots of normal type of recipes people eat in Mexico. With this meat, they would turn them into tacos, and they quickly became known around the neighborhood for their great tasting tacos. Everybody just started flocking towards their vending site. Mwah! Oh, these tacos are so delicious, everybody said. But it wasn't to the point where they were making still enough money for the type of lifestyle that the wife was hoping for. She wanted to get out of this rugged ghetto neighborhood that they lived in. Yet this taco stand was something she was passionate about. One day, just to feel like a normal person, she went ahead to the local malls in town and bought a bunch of fancy clothes. She tried on the clothes, she bought this nice diamond necklace, and she just thought, I look so beautiful. Man, if only my life could be like this every day. Unfortunately, she spent all the money and earnings of their taco stand that they made from just those purchases of hers. She came home and to her husband yelling at her, "Well, how dare you spend all the money? How are we supposed to pay our bills this week? How are we supposed to do anything? We can't eat our own supply of food. What are we supposed to do for eating for just ourselves?" The wife didn't care. She had a taste of the fabulous life just by putting on those clothes, and she was just down and depressed. They both went to bed. The husband, though, he was very angry. He went to bed in anger. Yet, afterwards, he calmed down, came to his wife, and he understood. He understood that she never got to have a nice life, never got to experience those things. They both grew up in poverty. They never really knew what it was like to be able to have the things that normal people have. So he forgave her. He said, "Honey, don't worry. I'm going to find a way for us to be able to live and keep going. I'm going to find a way to get us out of this old house of ours and to actually own some property of our own, to where you can buy clothing like that and feel beautiful every day." Her husband was determined. He went out the next day, working, got a construction job, just pennies to begin with. But he started working hard night after night, yet it still wasn't enough. They quit their taco vending services, and he just went full-time into construction, hoping that he would slowly climb up the ladder in Mexico. One night, getting impatient, the wife just thought of something. This taco vending place was what made us any type of money at all. I want that again. Yet now she had no money even for some chicken or beef to go and make the tacos with. So she came up with an idea, and that idea will shock you. the crack of dawn, 2 a.m., February 14th, Annabelle Gomez went ahead, took a knife out of her drawer, and saw that her husband was sleeping, and in his sleep, she slit his throat. Blood was leaking all over the ground. The man didn't even have a time to grasp of what was happening. Before he knew it, one slight last glaze at his wife, and he was gone. Annabelle quickly went to work, though. She started cutting open the pieces of his body, sliding them off of his bones, making sure and then soaking them into boiling hot water. Piece by piece, she ripped at his body and put it into this big pot. She soaked it overnight, and then the next day, 20 hours later, she started adding seasoning and herbs. About 2 days after her husband had died, Annabelle had set up at their taco site that they used to sell and vendor from. She put the sign back up saying tacos for sale, and quickly, just like before, the locals started gathering. Word spread very quickly because this time the tacos were even better than before. They didn't know how it was possible. The meat was so tender, it was so delicious. The locals would be craving it all the time, day after day for a week straight. They would keep going back to this taco vendor, and they'd be like, Annabelle, you make the best tacos around. We got to keep having more. Please keep giving us more. Little did they know that they were eating her husband's meat. Week went by, and eventually that meat from her husband ran out. Did Annabelle feel sorry? Not at all, because she started making money. And with that, now that the meat was gone, and now that her clients had a new craving for her tacos, she didn't know what to do, because she couldn't just go back to selling beef or selling chicken because it wouldn't be the same. That little did they know was human flesh. So Annabelle came up with a dark plan. See, in Mexico City, even at the age of 5, there's little kids going around the streets selling whatever they can to help their parents. This happens still to this day. The little kid came up to Annabelle, said, "Would you like to buy one of these dulces from me? Please, I need the money to be able to eat." Well, Annabelle said, "No, I have something better for you. I will show you. Come to my house and I will help you. I'll give you some more money and be able to give you more candy to be able to sell." This was a trap. Annabelle lured in little children and started killing them one by one. This happened reportedly over 50 different times. Weeks and weeks went by and nobody could figure out how their kids were being taken. Word spread quickly, thinking that it was just a local cartel kidnapping them for some type of ransom. Or maybe it was some sex traffickers sending them away to different countries. Many people mourned and just went into grief. You would see these parents talking among each other, grieving around Annabelle's taco stand. They would be eating the tacos together, putting salsa verde, salsa roja, cilantro, limon, eating them all up while they discuss, the police aren't doing anything. They aren't helping find our children. When are they gonna come home? When my baby's gonna come home? Little did they know that their babies, their children, were right on their plate. One day, a local neighbor man named Jose smelled a funny, funky gas-smelling leak coming from Annabelle's house. He's like, "Oh, what is that smell? Gosh, I need to call the authorities because Annabelle doesn't know that maybe she possibly has a gas leak going on at her house." So he calls the police because in Mexico, that's what you do when something like that happens because a gas leak can go very far. Authorities come in not knowing what they're about to witness. As they enter the home, empty, Annabelle nowhere in sight. There was their gas leaking from her pipes. But that wasn't all they found. They found multiple bodies of children torn apart, shredded as if a wolf or canine had ripped them into pieces. Took them a while to put the pieces together, but after they realized what was going on, they ran to Annabelle's taco vending site. There were still plenty of people eating the tacos together, communing and drinking cokes alongside their plates. Annabelle was just serving up the tacos, happy day, happy all the time. And then it was at the same time moment that police officers rushed, tackled Annabelle onto the ground, and handcuffed her immediately on spot, put her in a car, and took her away. The people eating the tacos had no clue what was going on. They just stood there confused with their food in their plate. It wasn't until about a few days later they would learn the news.
En México hay alegría, mucho color y pasión.
Once news broke out that Annabelle was serving tacos of human flesh, and not only was it just human flesh, but the human flesh of the relatives and kids of her own local neighborhood, family members, and relatives, that whole local area went into disgust. Many of them to this day that are still alive will not touch a single taco in just that memory that they ate human flesh. But how much of this story is true? Well, not all of it, but also not all of it is not true. Let me explain. See, it's actually Annabelle Gomez Lopez, and this is a real case, but the origins of this story with her husband, that part is just a local legend that was passed down that came out of this story. Although, the worst part, that is actually real. The part where she kidnapped children and took them and ripped them apart and sold that as human tacos, that part is on record stating that she had taken about almost 50 kids, ripped them apart, and turned them into tamales. Not tacos, but tamales. And they did sell them like crazy. And then also the news of her getting arrested because of a gas leak being reported from her house, completely true. If it wasn't for the gas leak, actually, it would have been much, much longer for Annabelle to have actually been caught. A lot of people do question, does she feel any remorse for it? Did she feel bad about it? She did go on interviews stating that the first child was hard, but after that, she quickly grew cold to it. She was sentenced 25 years into prison, and she probably died there. Now, you would think stories like this must be just rare occasions that happen in only foreign countries. Well, you would be surprised, actually, that these type of stories happen in the US as well. I mean, just recently, we heard that the Haitian people, supposedly in Springfield, Ohio, were selling dogs and cats and eating the meat from them. Was it true? Who's to say it wasn't? And there's multiple claims of people finding teeth and chicken nuggets at your McDonald's. Actually, there's a whole conspiracy theory that McDonald's here in the US takes these immigrant children that go missing and grind them up to make your meat and food that on the burgers and the chicken nuggets that you eat almost every week here in the United States. Again, these are just conspiracy theories, and there's not very much evidence. There's a few videos floating online of some girls complaining about finding a tooth in their chicken nugget, but who knows if that actually happened or if it was staged. My question to you is, what have you eaten that you thought was something innocent that could have been perhaps more dark than you would have ever guessed?